All right, welcome back, everyone. I'm finally settled in, and I think I'll be able to start working on my collection and getting videos out on a regular basis now. And oh, you might notice, whoa, this little idea I picked up from Chris Love Stamps, a little multi-camera setup. It's a New Year's resolution time, isn't it? So I've got mine. Like I said, I'm finally settled in. It's been a year and a half now. We sold our house in July of 2023, and then we bounced around. We went to Germany for 3 months, and nothing ever came of that. And we came back to Texas, and we had to stay away for at least 3 months before we can go back into Europe without a visa. And in February of last year, we landed in Portugal, in Tavira. Then in June, we came back to Funchal on the island of Madeira because we were really missing it. And we stayed at a temporary apartment because we found this apartment early on, and then we found out we had to wait because the owner had owned it less than 2 years, and just like in the U.S., you have short-term capital gains that are, that really rob you. So after we agreed to wait until December to actually purchase the home to ease his tax burden. And so last month we finally made it to our permanent home. And right now I'm still trying to work out my exact camera situation, see what works best. Right now, I'd like to use the camera or the iPhone for actually taking the videos, but all these hard walls really, you get too much cavern reverberation sound. I mean, it's not terrible echo, but it does have that hollow sound. I found that using the laptop, I guess it must be a very directional mic, and I'm speaking directly into it, and I get a much better sound off of the laptop camera. So for now, I'll be using the laptop, but eventually I'll try to figure out some kind of make up some acoustic panels or something so I could use the cameras. So then make it easier to at least show my workspace and whatnot. But anyways, so it's a New Year's resolution time, right? So I've seen a couple of other stamp YouTube channels that talked about their, New Year's resolutions. So I should throw mine out there. I know I mentioned this a little bit in a previous episode, a few episodes back. But just to recap, I'm going to have it on video evidence here. So maybe light a fire under my keister. And so anyways, let's get on with it. So my goal is to now laser focus. Yeah, it's a lousy laser actually. But I'll focus as much as I can. And to that end, I've limited my comprehensive country collections to just three. First one being Germany, which includes the German states, Bavaria, Prussia, Saxony, Hamburg, North German Confederation, and German colonies, German Southwest Africa, German East Africa, and then you got the islands, the Carolina Islands, the Mariana Islands, German New Guinea. So there's a whole world of stamps right there. And I'm going to take Germany proper just up to the beginning of the Weimar Republic, which is the end of World War I, 1918. And that comprises a whole whopping 100 stamps. Anyways, 100 major numbers in the Scott catalog anyways. And then it won't be 100 for me because there will be some few expensive stamps I won't be able to purchase. So then the next major country will be Portugal, and that will cover the area, the years of 1853 to 1898, and that covers 154 major numbers in the Scott catalog. But there's quite a few more than that because let's say you have a set numbers 40 through 50, and then there will be a parallel set, the same stamps, 40A through Scott number 50A, which are have a different perforation. And then there's 40B through 50B, which will be on a different paper. So, I'm not fanatic about getting every paper and perf variety, but, sometimes one or the other is what's readily available. And I would like to get all the varieties if I can. And then you have the Portuguese colonies, Angola, Portuguese Africa, Portuguese Congo, Portuguese India, and so on. So there again, the scope of the collection is a lot wider than it initially sounds. And then my third major country area will be the United States up to 1940, what's covered in the Scott Specialized Classic Period catalog. And then even I'm limiting myself to really the first four bureau issues. At first, the stamps were printed by American Banknote Company, Continental Banknote Company, National Banknote Company, until the United States Bureau of Engraving and Printing took over the printing of stamps. And their first four, the first four definitive series that they printed are called just that. You have the first Bureau set, the second Bureau definitives, the third, and the fourth. And that will take me up to 1932 when the last fourth Bureau issue was issued. And then you have the airmail issues for the U.S. I'm going to take those up to about 1940 or 1944. Special delivery stamps that are have the prefix E in the Scott catalog. So there's 16 of those, E1 through E16, issued between 1885 and 1931. And there was one registration stamp that was issued. It's catalog F1, and that was issued in 1911. And then my favorite back of the book stamps, the parcel post issues. They were only issued for 6 months, and there's 12 of those with the prefix Q. So those are Q1 through Q12, all of them issued in 1913. And then there's four special handling stamps that were issued between 1925 and 1928, and those have the Scott prefix QE, so there's QE1 through QE4. And then the last of the United States Classic period are the U.S. offices in China, and there were 18 of these issued between 1919 and 1922. And they have the prefix K, so there's K1 through K18. So that covers all the U.S. issues that I, will strive for completion. There's plenty of other stamps beyond that I like. For one thing, there's the joint line pairs. As you may recall, I've shown those before. They're coil stamps that are collected in pairs, but they have the ink line running through the perforations between the two stamps that shows where the rotary plate came together, and then the ink collects in that joint. That's why they're called joint line pairs. And then I have a relatively new area that I started collecting a couple of years ago, the zip blocks, the Mr. Zip. Mr. Zip, the little man with a mailbag. He appeared on stamps for several decades, and Mr. Zip appears in 4 different configurations, and I'll go into that later. Oh, in fact, I have a whole episode about Mr. Zip, so just go to the home page, click on the videos, and scroll down. Uh, you can just put in the search box Mr. Zip, and the episode will come right up. So I'm still working on those, and then just whatever else just strikes my fancy, and there are quite a few. There's the lot of the miniature sheets, the paints, the modern ones that I like. I like the cartoon ones, the Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, uh, the comic strips, and then you have several other ones that just really really look sharp and that I like the marine life stamp showing the luminescent marine life and stuff like that. So I'm not strictly limiting myself to pre 1940. So those other ones post 1940, I call those my minor countries. And other minor areas that I will cover country-wise are Germany. Germany's my major area, but I will collect some, post Weimar stamps, such as the famous women of German history, which I also featured in a previous episode, and also Portugal. I'll collect some modern issues also, particularly of the ones that are issued by Madeira or for Madeira. Besides those minor areas of my major countries, I'll have some minor areas of minor countries that I don't otherwise collect, such as Austria. I'd like to collect uh, as many of the definitive series as I can. There's quite a few others. I don't want to say quite a few. There are several others though that I'm interested in too. I like collecting the definitive sets of Ireland. A couple of nice long sets that I really like. Their wildflowers and their historical artifact set. And then Switzerland, most of their classic issues are pretty expensive. But I would like to get as many of the sitting Helvetia stamps that I can. First few dozen are almost all out of my price range, from starting with number 14. Not till you get up into the 40s that they really start becoming affordable. And those sitting Helvetias go up to number 68, so number 14 through 68. And then after that came the standing Helvetia stamps. So I'm going to strive for getting as many of those as I can. And then another minor country is Sudan. Their first sets were the famous camel postman, and I've got a few of those right now, and I'm going to continue to get complete those as much as I can. And besides the countries, then I go on. I have a few major topical areas. I got my classical music stamps, which I've shown those before. And here's an example. You'll notice I've got these stock pages in document sleeves right now. I found that keeping these large stamps in the stock book was a little awkward because they just kept flopping. Turn the page and stamps would flop over and fall out of the strips. So I've switched to keeping the ones that I'm going to be working on immediately. In other words, I have to make pages, which I'll get to in a moment. But I'm going to keep them on the stock sheets, the stock pages inside the document sleeves. Keep them secure. So, like I said, my topical collections are the classical music. These are my major ones, anyways. And then uh, literature, fiction writers mainly, or basically that's all I want. Literature is encompasses a lot of playwriting, poetry, and so biographies, histories. So I'm sticking to just fiction writers and literature. And you can see here's a page full. Here's another page full of world literature. Here's some of the American literature. Oh, more world literature. Showing them to you out of order. More American literature. More American literature. All right, and then here's my Ziplocs. My Ziploc. Oh, this is my Ziploc bag. Ziploc bag. Oh, more classical music. So here's some large sheetlets that just impractical to keep in the stock book. Here's my Martin Merck. That's a minor collectible because a major, I, my major topical collection is the stamps of Czesław Słania. And I have a specialty album for Słania. And Martin Merck, he used to have a website, martinmerck.com, and it had a checklist of all of the issues that he engraved. And he's up there along with Słania now, 1,000 stamps or more. So, but he's going to have to take a backseat to my Słania collection. Because for one thing, the Martin Merck website is down, and I never expected that to happen, so I didn't make a note of all of the issues. Here's some more of Czesław Słania stamps. Here's an example, like I said, of the modern Germany. I collect the famous women of German history. And then I have the other major topical collection is accordions on stamps. I took accordion lessons. I played accordion as a young boy. I don't have one to play now, but the poor accordion is so denigrated by everybody. You know the old joke. What's the definition of a gentleman? Someone who can play the accordion but doesn't. And then, like I said, my major music collection is classical music, but I also, I like jazz, I like rock and roll, so, I'll also collect these. Oh, that's some bad glare. I'm going to collect jazz on stamps also, like Louis Armstrong. But I just collect them as I run across them and just stick them in a page. And then I like cartoons and comic strips on stamps. So I got the Bugs Bunny, all those Looney Tunes sheets. Remember the Bugs Bunny, the Daffy Duck, Tweety Pie, Sylvester. But I'm also interested in getting the DC comic superheroes and the Marvel superheroes, which I did have them when they were current, but I run a hip stamp store, so I loved putting those superhero stamps on my stamp orders that I mailed out. And next thing I knew, I burned through all my DC and Marvel comic stamps, and I don't have any right now. And then another comic that I kind of more or less focus on, two of them actually, the French Asterix, the Barbarian, and Tintin, as he's called in the English-speaking world. It's a Belgian or French language comic strip, so it should be Tintin, I think. My French viewers out there can tell me how badly I pronounce that. And then the last topical area are my design errors on stamps. I've made 3 videos on design errors, and right now I have them all collected in cards and envelopes. So that brings me to my next resolution, is to get my album pages printed out. uh, you recall from past videos, I had bookshelves full of albums with album pages. I couldn't take them with me. It was just all too heavy. So I have to start reprinting all my album pages, and I will get that done. And in my next video, I will show you how I'm continuing on with that now, how I am coping with this A4 paper, which I mentioned in a previous episode also. I didn't like the American paper ideally for a stamp album because it's only 8.5 by 11. You look at a Scott album pages; those are, yeah, I don't know the dimensions, but they are larger paper. Well, the A4 paper that's used here in Europe, it's a little taller than American paper, but it's also narrower, and it's actually the width I like more to have. So anyways, in my next video, I'm going to show you how I'm handling my album page situation. So there's my New Year's resolution. My countries: Germany, Portugal, and US. All classical era for those countries. And then minor country collections of just stamps that appeal to me, like the definitive series of Austria, Ireland, and just pretty stamps from the US that I like. And then my topicals of classical music, literature, accordions, and Czesław Słania, and the design errors. So that covers it. I wanted to put this down on film, make a record for posterity, so I have incentive to actually work on it, and we'll see what it looks like. I'll in the next episode, I will also show you where I'm at, and then hopefully I'll have a year-end video showing how much progress I've made. Of course, I'll have episodes in between showing my progress. So I hope you'll stick with me throughout the year, and let's have fun together. So until then, this is Ted the Talking Stamp Collector wishing you all happy stamping.